Should I use a cloud provider? This is a question that everyone was making every day to us a few years ago. But now seems that if you are not in the cloud, you are making a big mistake. But why? Is the best marketing campaign in the history? AWS revenue last year was 62 billion. Azure revenue was 49 billions. GCP was 19 billions. Alibaba Cloud 9 billions. Oracle Cloud 7 billions. And IBM Cloud 6 billion. So if we only consider the 6 biggest, we are talking about 152 billion in 2021. And in 2022, they are increasing revenues in some cases by 40%, so that for sure that we will end the year with more than 200 billions. And remember that 200 billions is more than, for example, Greece or New Zealand GDP. In 2010, AWS made 500 millions in revenue, and 11 years later, almost 125 times more. So, with all these numbers in your head, can you explain to me what happened? Because I have to remind that the human in 2010 was working in the IT environment, and that the computers does not appear in 2020, which appeared in the 70s, but COBOL and Lisp were created in the 50s, like Fortran. So IT is not something that appeared with TikTok. So now that it's clear that the IT is not a 2-year invention, why everyone is today in the cloud? Why everyone has decided to forget what a data center is? And by the way, do you know what is a data center? It is a cold and noisy place full of wires and cool lights. It was the place to execute the maintenance in this noisy room with no chairs. And it is a place full of real security, so not firewalls or hackers. It's a place full of guys with guns. A few years ago, every company had a data center, or even in some cases, a rented space in a data center. In this data center, companies had their machines. Day by day, companies started to introduce new technologies and concepts like Agile and DevOps, and to start to work with Docker, containers, Kubernetes, and so on. In 2004, Gmail was launched, and with this web tool, many others appeared in the market. Those tools saw the market that was not needed to have a hard copy of every tool in your data center, and that you can have massive tool in an external provider. In 2006, AWS launched EC2 and S3, and in this way companies started to be able to have external machines. So step by step, they can move some companies out of the data center, at least disaster recovery part. Kubernetes appeared in 2014, and it's not until 2018 when appeared the first EKS version. In 2017, Google created Cloud Function, making something similar to what AWS created in 2014. In 2004, microservices theory appeared. We start to hear about serverless in 2006 with Thinky, and in 2008 in Google with App Engine, and become popular when in 2014 Lambda appeared in AWS. We started to have too many pieces. We had horrible monolithic that was impossible to compile. We had huge applications that need to be installed and updated during the weekends, and we had many good things that were happening. At one point, everyone started to create their own private cloud. For example, with OpenStack, which appeared in 2010, or tried to move to whatever cloud in the market. And one day, when we wake up, nobody had a data center. Okay, really this is not true. There are still many companies with data center, like Equinix, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, and many others. But still there are many banks, financial organizations, hospitals with data center. And still there are very big companies with a huge data center. So data center has not disappeared. But then why should I have my data out of the cloud? First, we need to know what are the typical characteristics of the cloud. Elasticity. Your infrastructure grows or shrinks as soon as it's needed. Cost. You only pay for what you use. Fewer employees. We don't need people in our data center. Shared responsibility problem. If there is a problem, your cloud provider will fix it. So you don't need to do anything. Always up to date. Your cloud provider will work hard to give you consistent access to the latest updates and new technologies, and you don't need to care about that. There are many more other characteristics about the cloud provider, but there are many other questions too. Do I need to have microservices in my application? Do I need to know what a choreography-based saga is? Do I need a database per microservice? Again, do I need microservices? Do I need serverless services? Do I need to pay huge invoices for my infrastructure? There are many cases where a cloud provider is a perfect match. If I start to think, in most of the cases, a cloud provider is a perfect match. As we talked before, there are many cases where a cloud provider is not a good solution. For example, financial institutions that didn't want to share data with third-party providers, but this doesn't stop those organizations to move somewhere else to the cloud. Systems in hospital, nuclear plants, and many other places where a cloud is not a good place. Government institutions that have the same issue, companies that already spend millions on their data centers. But in this case, something is happening. Those companies have discovered that they can sell the land where the data center is located and build buildings and get enough money to pay cloud providers and reduce the cost of firing everyone that was working in the data center. Other example is physical, secure environments where, for example, you want to save your private keys, crypto silos, and many other places. As far as we understand, the cloud is unstoppable, and this is the future in 90% of the cases. It is simple and fast, and everyone can use it. What is also important to keep in mind that many of the so-called disadvantages of the cloud by this moment are nothing that beats. Cloud doesn't have to be expensive and can be secure and scalable. At NKDev, we help to drive completion of many cloud migration, even in sensitive industries like health and finance. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and follow us. See you next time.